Hi guys, welcome to Vesna TV. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here's another Halloween episode today. So I'm creating some spooky Halloween decor using these skulls from the Dollar Tree. And I am starting with 3 skulls, actually 6 skulls, but I'll just show you how I made one of the sets because I don't think you need to watch me make 2 of the same things. But so I bought them from the Dollar Tree, and what I need to do is melt the top a little bit and the bottom so that I can make a hole in the skull. Now, you obviously don't have to do this. I just did this because it made the cutting part easier. You could also drill a hole just to start it, but I was afraid that I would crack the skull or something like that. So this worked okay. Just don't melt it too much. The parts where I melted it too much became problematic because they became quite sharp. They wound up hardening really fast, so they made the edges sharp. So just don't melt it too much, just enough to make it a little bit softer. Now, the container that you make this in is totally up to you. I have these cast iron urns out front, so I'm just going to be popping these guys in here because I know they won't fly away and I can wedge them in here. So for this, I'm just using a packaging kind of styrofoam thing that I had left over. You can obviously use even now I'm not going to remember the word. It'll come to me, but for planting, like the foam, the floral foam for planting, whatever you want, you can kind of shove in there. If you don't have cast iron urns, you could always do a heavier pot. You could do them in the ground. In the ground, it might be actually, you could do them in the ground too. It's up to you what you do them in. Like I said, this worked for me, so I just had to measure my broomstick to see how deep it had to go before I started creating my little skeleton heads. Now, wedging the heads through, again, as long as you made the holes in the right spots and you made them okay, then it's fairly easy. I found that even if you just cut an X, even if you don't melt it all the way, but you cut an X, it works better. So like I said, if you melt it all the way, it gets really hard, so it's hard to wedge the broomstick through. So you do need a broomstick or any kind of long, round stick. But I had these broomsticks left over from the Dollar Tree, so I just popped these on. And so, like I said, what I did was the ones that I just softened it and made a little X just so I could push the broomstick through. Those worked a little bit better than the ones that I melted too much. But, kind of it's trial and error. And then I just kind of put these heads on like all different, facing all different directions so that they kind of looked a little bit spooky. So I'm showing you there kind of what I did with the holes. And then the last one, obviously you don't want to do a hole at the top because you're just going to wedge him on top there. And then that's all there is to the skeletons. Now you will want to add, well, you don't have to, but I added some deer moss to, and just some regular moss to, like, in between, kind of, do you, if you see over here, you can see a little bit of the brown, so I added in between to hide that. You could also paint your stick if you wanted to black, and then that kind of, or the color of the skeletons, and it will hide that, but I wanted to add this onto it as well. But this is your last step. Before you do that, you need a piece of cardboard or some sort of base. I've seen people use the bottom of a Dollar Tree basket, but I thought, hey, why buy something new if I can just use something old? So you could also use any kind of old planters or anything like that. But like I said, this is what I chose to use. So I just kind of cut out a piece of cardboard that was able to wedge in to the urn. And again, this size will depend on what container you use as your base. So I wanted to wedge it in there so that way it wouldn't go anywhere. And then I just kind of cut it to size how I needed it. And once it's wedged in there and ready to go and cut to size, then I went ahead and I added some Dollar Tree lights. Once those were set up the way I wanted them to be, making sure that the plug part was out away from the cardboard piece kind of hanging down, I went ahead and I added some spray foam. I just bought this spray foam on Amazon. Basically, I just bought whatever one was the cheapest. And I applied it all throughout, like all on top of this cardboard piece, just any kind of random pattern. Remember, it does grow, so as you're applying it, if you are worried about it growing, make sure you apply a little bit less. Follow the instructions on the can of how you're supposed to apply it and clean it and all of that stuff. I just wanted to cover everything as much as I could so that the cardboard wouldn't be visible. And then I added my skeleton pieces. So what I did was I purchased a skeleton from the Dollar Tree, one of the smaller ones. I took it apart and then I put pieces on it. Now I wanted to show you what I did, but I had taken it apart for a previous project. So I just had the bits and pieces laying around. I also added some skulls from that skeleton, and I added the salad tongs that come in a pair of two because they had nice little hands, that were a little bit bigger. Now, if you have a bigger base, you can obviously use the bigger skulls, the bigger hands, and the feet from the Dollar Tree, but because my base was smaller, I just added these guys. And you just kind of push them in, not too much into the foam, but just enough so that they kind of stick. So you just kind of like gently nudge them in so they don't fall off, because again, the foam is going to expand. While that was setting, I went ahead and I applied that deer moss and regular moss in between the skulls, just using some hot glue. And again, to cover up any of the wood showing from the broomstick. And to bring this all together, I went ahead and I spray painted the foam with a red spray paint first, just to make it look like a fire is what I wanted to do. So I lightly sprayed it with red, and then I went over top with some black and with some metallic silver. And you do this kind of the way you think it'll look like. So what I was trying to do is make it look like hot charcoal, burning charcoal kind of idea. So you don't add too much of the black or too much of the gray, which kind of mix it in. And I chose the metallic gray because it kind of gives it a look like it's burnt, freshly burnt. So again, you kind of play around with it however you want. Remember, it's just paint, so if you add too much of one thing or not enough of the other, you can always go back and redo it, so don't ever be scared of that. Once everything was set and dry, I just sprayed it with a finishing spray, just like I have a varnish sealing spray, and it's clear, and I just sprayed it so that way it would kind of seal everything, because the part where this is not covered. So if there's rain or snow, because we could get snow here in October, it's somewhat protected and the paint doesn't wash off. It shouldn't, but just in case. And then I sprayed the skulls too, just to be on the safe side. I may go back and put some red hot glue on the eyes of the skeleton, but I haven't done that yet. I wanted to see how I liked it without the red. But anyway, here's what they look like during the day and during the night. I think they turned out really, really cute. Hopefully you guys like them. This was super easy and super fun to do and inexpensive. So let me know what you think. Leave me a comment below. And if you like what you see, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can see when I do new videos. I will have another DIY after this, but here's what it looks like at night as well, so you can see the burning charcoal at night. So I really do love how it turned out. I think it looks super spooky, and my husband had put up lights around the house that we can change the color depending on what we want. So I kind of made it a reddish orangish color so that it would match with this burning charcoal look. I think it looks so good. I absolutely love them. And I mean, if you wanted, because I wasn't sure how it would turn out, the lights that I used are from the Dollar Tree, but if you wanted maybe something more, a little bit more permanent or something like that, you could always use those solar lights or different lights depending on what you have. So on to the next one. So with this one, again, very inexpensive. I just got a palette that the neighbors were throwing out. And I started with just kind of aging it a little bit. So I just added bits of black spray paint and that gray metallic spray paint on top of it just to make it look a little bit dirtier and a little bit more aged. And again, I just did a light spray. You don't even have to do this if you don't want to. I just wanted to. So just do a light spray. Now, this one was an easy DIY, but it wasn't an easy DIY. So now going back and knowing what I know now, what I would do in the future is a little bit different, but I'll show you what I did here, and I will kind of edit some parts out because there was a lot of trial and error. What I thought would work didn't work. So anyway, once you have this covered however you want, then you can go ahead and apply your skeletons, because I am making kind of like I wanted to look like the skeletons were breaking through this palette. So I'm adding some skulls from the Dollar Tree, some hands, and some feet. So before I do any of these, actually on the back of this, I add a tablecloth from the Dollar Tree. I didn't cut it down as much as I needed to, so that was my first mistake. My second mistake is I probably shouldn't have even done the tablecloth because it wasn't necessary, but live and learn. So I was adding the tablecloth because the idea was that I could somehow make the skeletons look like they were peeking out from between the boards, but the boards just weren't wide enough for me to do that. So anyway, you'll see I added this black so it looked like the ground was underneath, and that way you wouldn't see the grass or wherever you put it on. But again, now having it all done, I don't know that I would do this step, but I did add it with a stapler, and I wanted to leave it for you so you could kind of see what it looks like, and maybe you'll want to do it this way too, or you'll have a better idea, or you live in a climate where my first idea that I was thinking would work because the elements aren't as bad as they are here, or maybe you're going to have it in a spot where it's covered. So as I mentioned before, I'm using some items from the Dollar Tree. So I start with the skulls, and I also use these chains as well. And I do use some lights from the Dollar Tree. So the same idea, I use the lights like I did in the previous one. And again, I had a hard time adding these. So what I did with this, I zip tied this hand to a portion of this palette, and then I stapled gunned it, the um, zip tie, so that it would stay. I tried to hot glue it. It didn't quite work. I tried to double tape it. It didn't quite work. I tried to wedge it in. It kept on falling out. So this worked the best. The skulls were what I had a really hard time with, so I thought I would put them underneath. It didn't work. So I wound up taking them out, but I did use double-sided tape for the lights underneath, and I added, to cover the zip ties and the tape, I added some green moss. And then I left the skulls in there thinking, okay, it would work, but as soon as I stood it up, they fell out. So then what I did was I used double-sided tape and I added the skulls. This way they kept on falling off, but I wound up securing them again with the double-sided tape. And I added a foot in there again with double-sided tape. I'm going to put it out laying down, not standing up. I thought I would put it standing up, but because they keep on falling off, it didn't work. But what you could do, which is what I would do next time, set it up somewhere in your yard or wherever you want to, and just um, put underneath the skulls, put something to raise them, and underneath the pallet, and have them be kind of peeking through, but they'll be raised, so they'll kind of look like their heads are peeking through. That's what I would do next time, but this is the way I made it work. I love the way it looks. It turned out really good, even with the lights in there, and at night looks really cool. But again, there are some things that I would do a little bit differently if I was doing it now. It was one of those things that was supposed to be easy, but then it turned out taking me way too long and made me really frustrated. I would have loved to have used hot glue, but I know, like, with the elements it won't work. Maybe E6000 would have worked, but after trying so many different things, I got frustrated and I just left it. So here it is set up out front in my lawn. I did add a little piece of wood to angle it a bit just at the top there, so it looks like it's a little bit lifted and like bursting out from the ground. Let me know what you think. I will have a full tour of my inside and outside of my house for Halloween in a little bit, as soon as my husband finishes one thing outside, which unfortunately I can't do by myself. I need his help, but we kind of keep on being on different schedules with kids' activities and stuff, so it's always too dark when we have some time to do stuff. So hopefully, I hope to have the video out in the next week or so. On to the next one. So last but certainly not least, I am making one of these skeletons holding, having a bath in a bathtub of candy, I guess. I think this was on a Pottery Barn or somewhere you could buy, so it's kind of like a dupe. But what I did was I got one of these bathtubs from the Dollar Tree. I spray painted it black, and I got one of these 4-pack of skeletons, again from the Dollar Tree, and I hot glued it onto the outside of the bathtub, so it looks like he's kind of holding the bathtub with his hands and his feet. And then I added some candy, and that's all there is to it. I did see the ones that I saw were bigger and they had the big bowl of candy, but I just wanted the small one for this. I did want to make it a candle, so it looks like he's having a bath in, like a candle bath, but I wanted to be able to use the candle, and I was too afraid with the plastic like that wouldn't work, to light plastic, like a plastic tub, so I didn't find a ceramic tub. But again, inexpensive from the Dollar Tree, and it turned out really cute. So it was inexpensive to make. I did use spray paint and I didn't buff up the plastic, so it kind of, some of it came off, some of the paint came off, so I just went over with some black acrylic paint and I just touched it up. You could just, rough it up a little bit so the paint sticks better. But again, easy, super cute, and here's the finished piece. So let me know what you think of him. He was a huge hit at my son's birthday party because I had a bunch of snacks out, and this was one of the snacks, and the kids devoured the candies, which was great, and it was a little bit spooky for them. Okay, let me know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all the things. Thanks for watching.